I am a qualified attorney. I got my qualification at the University of Pretoria, where I studied for my B.Juris and LLB. I've also done international courses such as aviation law with IATA in Canada. I'm also an editor. I did my editing certificate with UCT. I'm currently studying towards my master's. I'm writing my submission paper to be, considered by VERDS, to do a research master's due to the time constraints that I have to attend classes. So I'm hoping to finish that this year. I'm a married mom of 2 children. We'll be married for 20 years this year to an awesome guy. So I do count myself lucky to have this platform where I can share a little bit about myself. The Mashobane group of companies is actually a journey that I've been on to finally get me here. We started firstly by having the Mashobane advisory services, which then gave rise to Mashobane AM Attorneys Incorporated. Lastly, then we have our mentorship program that we have formalized, which is Mashobane Training and Mentorship Academy. And together, those 3 companies, they are, aligned in such a way that they have synergies. So my team of 5, we basically work across. So there's no one that is staying in a specific area. We all multitask, which makes us a very lean team, but high impact. Because what we want to do is to pass on that value to clients so that we do not have to, factor in all these other costs by having a big team whereby we can be nimble, small, but high impact. So, and the aim with the group is to just basically change the world. My vision is to open doors, for people like me who would not have access to the specialized areas of law in which we operate in as a boutique law firm. The mentorship program, which is very close to my heart, is geared towards identifying, those rough diamonds. And our mentorship doesn't only focus on the legal side of things. We have mentees in all fields, science, HR, marketing, because knowledge is knowledge. Skills transfer is skills transfer. So we transfer soft skills, also coping skills, because most of our mentees are quite young. And the working field can really just be something else if you don't have anyone to, to guide you. So all 3 businesses, whether it's via the law firm, where I share my experience with my mentees, whether it's via the advisory, where I mentor company secretaries in terms of how, to deal with certain matters, any toxic environments, and through the training and mentorship academy or the formalized program where we actually do spend time with the mentees. I mean, I mentor anytime, Saturday, Sunday, I'm just a phone call away, from the mentees.
If you could tell us a bit about the mentorship journey, as well as Mashobane Training and the Mentorship Academy and your formalized program.
That is really a passion project of mine, whereby, I started this journey 6 years ago with only 2 mentees. I called them my firstborns. I mean, these were people that were highly intelligent, but they were so misplaced in terms of where they were working. I mean, it was tough at the beginning because I am a taskmaster. There was a few tears shed, but I'm proud to say that today, one is a company secretary for a JSE listed company, and the other one is a company secretary and a compliance officer who is finalizing her LLB studies. So having seen that impact on the 2 ladies' lives, I realized that, there is much more that we can do. So we have about 20 mentees, and we have added 2 other mentors, Advocate Funeka Tema and Dr. Zvonile Gumbi, who have joined, and Dr. Pulani Molokwani, who have joined, raised their hands to come in and assist. And these are highly skilled, individuals that are in the nuclear space, they're in the science space. So you can see that we don't just bring in people that, let me say, like one skill. All of them, we are lifelong learners, but we pass that learning on. And just to mention as well how I learned about mentorship, I didn't know about mentorship at all. So 12 years ago, I was working with Cheryl Carolus. And when my contract with her ended, she actually asked me, don't you want to be my mentee? I mean, with my degrees and everything, I was like, what is that? And she says, no, I will be like your older sister and I will help you walk the path of life. I mean, on the spot, I said yes, like, because who says no to Cheryl? So I said yes. I didn't know what it was going to entail, but then I quickly went to the dictionary and the definition was different to what actually happened in my life. And she's been my mentor for the past 12 years. And all she ever asks me when we have our sessions is that, Anastasia, pay it forward. And that's why this academy came to be, because I'm not the person that I was because of the lessons that I've been getting. I mean, and the access that I've been getting, the information that I've been getting, from someone like Cheryl. It goes to a point where I needed counseling. She referred me for counseling. I needed coaching. She got me a life coach. So we are just replicating that model that her company actually started when they started their mentorship program, by looking for people within industries to help people look for jobs. I mean, I've got 2 of my own mentees that work in the practice, because they are just amazing. And I think there are people who have been overlooked, and companies want people with skills, but they're not ready to invest in training people. So my guys, no skills, they're there. Every day it's a learning curve on the floor. And they're in a safe space. I don't break them down when I criticize, but I build them up. So that is really what the mentorship is about.
Okay, Anastasia, could you tell us about, in July 21, this year, later this year, you will have accredited courses. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Okay, so what we want to do as an organization, as a group of companies, as I said, the main aim is to always share knowledge and transfer skills. But from the 1st of July, we'll be able to provide certified qualifications. All of these are corporate trainings, for people who are currently employed, people who want to enter certain employment spaces, but they would not have the opportunity to have access to that training. But more so, our courses will contribute towards credits. So we are at the final stages of communicating with the CETAs, and once we have our full accreditation, we will then be rolling out those courses. We will be training in supply chain management. We will be training in governance. As you know, corporate governance is a big problem in South Africa. So I'm a governance expert, and I find that we can address many of these issues by educating people, upfront as to what it is, to be an ethical, director, to be an ethical company, but also for company secretaries to know what their role is in upholding, governance. I mean, the company secretary profession is the only one that has been legislated in the Companies Act, and there really has to be a reason for that. So that is some of the courses that we will be providing in the supply chain management space, training for directors, training for company secretaries. We will also be doing training on minute taking, because as you might know, as an editor, I cringe when I see wrong spelling or anything that's out of place. So we want to teach people to write beautifully and also to articulate themselves.
You mentioned a bit now there about it, but go into a bit more detail about the sort of training you offer, and more importantly, what makes your training different?
So we have accredited and non-accredited training, right? Okay. So our accredited training, as I've said, will be supply chain management, governance, as well as administrative training, but more on the company secretarial space.
Yeah.
And the non-accredited training is data privacy and protection across continents, because we take a global view to data privacy and protection and not only look at the POPIA, because it impacts a lot of other pieces of legislation. We will be training also on diversity and inclusion, which will be provided by a specialist in the area. It is the big white elephant in the room in South Africa, because people feel so uncomfortable about talking about diversity. And here we're not talking only about color, we're talking about, people living with disabilities. And how do we integrate them into organizations without them, feeling ostracized. And we will also be training on governance from a director's perspective, because in my 20 years experience having worked in this field, I find that if you put an inexperienced director on your board and you expect them to excel, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They need to understand the fundamentals of what it is to be a director, and understand what the law expects from them, and also be able to take ownership of the decisions that they make. And the other training that we provide, which we currently already started rolling out, is director training from an executive perspective. Because if you're an executive in a company and you don't even know what laws it is that you're supposed to comply to, but every day you make decisions on behalf of the company, it is also a recipe for disaster. So I use my experience having worn both hats of sitting as a company secretary and also sitting as an executive. Currently, I'm sitting on two boards, so it just gives one that 360-degree perspective. You ask what makes our courses different. It's our approach to it. Our approach is to leave our trainees with tangible information and skills that they can use. We also have post-training engagements that we do with our trainees. We use experts in the field. Some of our trainers in the protection of personal information space, more so looking at data privacy and protection, are Dr. Sevutladi, who is a lecturer at UNISA. We also have Ms. Suvi Julin, who's a practicing attorney in Finland. We have Mr. Lungile Mabete, who is an attorney with more than 20 years experience, but also a seasoned director. We have Ms. Nguyen Caesar, who will be doing our diversity and inclusion. So all these people are thought leaders in their areas. And like I said, we are not here to just train people and then they cannot use that knowledge. I've attended many training sessions that had no impact in my life afterwards. So we will be doing everything in our power to make sure that we transfer skills, and make sure that we are there for the people even after the training. So if they've got questions, they are more than welcome, to reach out to us. We do that also by webinars. We hold webinars every second Thursday from 7:30, where we invite thought leaders. It's a free webinar, and anybody is welcome. We speak about anything and everything that's topical and break down the law in such a way that, anybody can understand it.